Uh, Fuck it. We'll go live now, I guess. I know it's technically like a minute early, but apologies ahead of time, folks. I don't have a camera right now. I don't know what the hell's going on with my laptop. It probably needs an update or something. Shit the bed on me earlier today, so just had to do a restart, and now it's not accessing my camera, but it seems to be accessing my mic, which is more than it was doing before. So, baby steps, right? Um, but hope everyone is well. Welcome to the early show, although it's an hour later than normal, so I guess it's not really early today. Um, see who we got here. We got Duke. Yo, Duke. Duke, I sent you a link, by the way. Or you're Duke Liberty. Sorry. Um, we got RGK. Yo, yo. What's up? It has been a day, so I apologize again for the later time in the night. I know most people are happy with the 7 o'clock hour time frame. I just stuff going on today and yesterday. I did not have time to set up a call at 7, and then obviously with all the computer shit. So, what's up, Glass 3222? Thank you for the thumbs up. Yeah. So, uh, unlike usual, I actually did have, I guess, a topic to start the night off with, and we can take it from there and see what people want to talk about. But again, I wish I had a camera because I could actually show stuff off. But um, yeah, I wanted to just kind of talk about, I guess, thing crossing my mind with some recent chats and things that have been going on in the community is optics, and not like red dot sites and holographics and things like that. Although, if we want to talk about optical sites, we can definitely dive into that. Although I am self-righteously not an expert at all in the topic, so I'll probably defer to someone else on that. But I was talking more optics when it comes to presenting yourself on the internet. As most people know, usually, as I said, I have my camera on for my chats. Usually on Matt's and Honda's chats, I don't, but occasionally, sometimes I will. But even if I don't, it's easy enough to search my name in here and figure out, I don't know why my name actually is different than normal, but I just realized it says Angry 2 instead of Angry, just Angry, but whatever. But when we're doing stuff online, how we present ourselves echoes to a wider community than our own, right? There we go. Let me see.
Yo.
What's up, gentlemen?
Yo.
Echo. Are we talking about Night Strike and echoing?
Echo 7. This is Echo 4.
Echo base.
Echo base.
This is Rogue Leader standing by. No, we weren't talking. I mean, I don't think we were talking about Night Strike, but
you said Echo, so I assumed. I'm sorry.
You said Echo, and I just echoed your Echo.
Oh, well, I was thinking Echo for some reason.
Oh.
I'm just saying, if you're walking up a ladder behind Matt in the zombie apocalypse, you're probably going to get shot.
Well, behind Matt or ahead of Matt?
Behind.
If Matt's trying to get the zombie off of you, the chances that you get shot in the process are fairly high, and then he'll blame you for it.
Yeah, Matt takes the. You've both seen. What is it? Universal Soldier, right? Or not Universal Soldier? The movie Soldier with Kurt Russell, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, when he's doing the training scene, and even when they're doing the montage, and like the guy has the lady hostage or whatever, he just shoots through her into the bad guy. Like that's Matt's tactic. It's like, no, you shouldn't have been a hostage. No, I was just firing off the chat with a topic of optics, and not like red dot sites and stuff like that, but when we're presenting ourselves online, how to try to present ourselves in a positive light. Like, I know we typically do these chats, and we're a very small knit community, and we typically, our community doesn't grow too much, but occasionally, there are people from outside our community that view our chats and such, and you want to keep a professional and somewhat calm demeanor. I mean, obviously, we can get heated about stuff, but you don't want to portray yourself as crazy or a complete asshole, unempathetic. Like,
You know who's the worst at that? Never enough ammo. Like I'll have like people on for like, hey, I got these people that are like I don't know them, but you know, like I'm gonna have some new people on the chat, and he's like penis. It's like, God damn it.
that's like, I mean, and granted, in our group, like, we can make those jokes and stuff like that, but I know what you're talking about. Like, yeah, it's when you have new people on, because I was saying earlier, like, my camera shit the bed or something on this laptop. I gotta actually do a hard restart, because I only restart this computer like once a month when it actually crashes on me. But I was talking about, like, you know, usually I portray myself as who I am on my chats, and it's very easy to look up my information and who I am and who I work for and stuff. So I'm a representation of, you know, my company and different groups I'm affiliated with when I do these chats. And so I have to watch what I say and do, not just from a standpoint of, you know, if something was to ever leak back to my work or something like that, but just from a standpoint of, you know, new people coming into the community. I want to be welcoming. I don't want to be sitting here talking like I'm ape shit crazy or, you know, acting like a psychopath or something.
Dude, that happened to me. Like, okay, so you know those like I forget his name, Cuckoo Nut and that other dude, and they like invited me to this server, and they were like a Discord server, and they're like, oh yeah, meet this guy and that guy. They stream all the time, and they're pretty cool, and da 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 da. And then they were doing a stream through Discord one day, and I decided to like try and hop in and see if I could add anything to the conversation, and they were just like, fuck you. Like they didn't say that or whatever, you know, but like the demeanor that they, and I'm not going back. Like, why would I go back? I don't want to fucking, you know, like if that's how you're going to treat me the first time I'm there, like there's no point in me ever coming back.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey, Tara, by the way. And there's someone there with, I'm assuming, well, I don't want to assume that's Japanese. It could be Korean or something. So I have no fucking clue what it says because I don't read that language, but TC, hello. But yeah, like I don't know. It's, and obviously, you know, people from outside our community that are going to come in and find our chats through whatever means they do. Obviously, they're not going to always agree with shit we say. And that's part of why we have these chats, is to have open discussions and whatnot. But, you know, you don't want to scare people off by just sitting here, and I'm not calling names, but, you know, we've had people in the past that are like, if you think this way, you deserve to die. It's like, okay, well, it's a little bit extreme.
Name the names. That's Bjorn, by the way. If you copy
paste
that, Google translate it, that's Bjorn.
Okay. He was Bjorn last week, so I don't know why it's now different. Jesus Christ.
I think you're right, and I think when we're talking about like advocating for Second Amendment rights and trying to be good stewards to the kin of that, I think it's fun. It's fun in games to like joke around sometimes and be goofy, and that's all a part of it, right? It's a part of entertaining. It's a part of having chats. It's a part of being goofy. It's a part of just letting loose sometimes. But I think it's important to also have some sort of demeanor where you are inviting and you are welcoming to a point. I mean, it's not on us to encourage people, to if they're to talk or to say things. If they're going to be a part of the conversation, they're going to. If you come in with and say dumb things, you're going to be told you're too new. You're too new to say that.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite quotes. I can't remember who it was, but somebody said that to Honda. They said something like super mean, and it was something that Matt may have gotten away with, and I think certainly a few others angry, you probably would definitely get away with it. But it was like somebody said something to Honda like real wrong, and I was like, ooh.
Like, Honda, no, you're too soon, Junior.
You're too new to say that. You don't get to say that to me. Yeah, it was something really. And the guy, I think that was his last chat. I'm like 100% sure it was his last chat because I think even Matt laughed. Oh gosh. Yeah, I think it's just an important like a factor in that.
Well, there's a certain level of respect that you give to someone that you haven't met before, and it's like if you don't reciprocate that respect back from them, then they don't deserve any more respect that you would give to the person if they had reciprocated.
100%. Just reading up on some of these chats here. Hello, TC. A terrorist says, "Hi all, hammered down left lane, trying to fly, need more gears, only 13." Would you say that you are eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking?
You ever watch that show, Eastbound and Down?
Yes, I did watch that. It was super
Yeah.
funny.
I
Kenny
had,
Powers.
I had a friend who was like, "You need to watch this show. You need to watch this show." And I tried to. I couldn't get into it.
Mhm.
I just
That was
couldn't-
me. That was me with Friends. Like I have multiple times tried to go back and watch Friends because I have, ironically, friends of mine who think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like they can name whatever person said in season 5, episode 8, at 13 minutes and 27 seconds, and I'm just like, I've tried to watch multiple episodes. I'm like, I just can't. Like it's just not my thing. Like,
Okay, so it's okay. That is it's like a. I think it's not only like an era thing, but like a how you view things and what you were exposed to at a certain time. Because it's like having my dad try and watch The Office. You're talking about a union
Gotcha.
guy who was a lineman, who never touched an office, who like worked outside all the time, and is just a certain way. Like he's never gonna find The Office funny.
it's not going to connect with them. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
like
that's
someone like I've worked in an office setting before, and like selling insurance and stuff like that. Like you have those dynamics. I'm in that age group. Like I'm considerably younger than those folks, like by 10 years or 15 years maybe, but like I'm in that bracket.
it makes sense. Yeah, you can make some connection to it, and I can make connections to The Office because I've worked in an office a large part of my life, and I'm from Scranton. So even though
Yeah,
there's a lot
exactly.
of aspects of that show that aren't accurate, but whatever, it's still they get some stuff right. But yeah, I don't know. Just like with Friends, I just couldn't connect. But then also, at the same time, I was watching Seinfeld, and I actually found Seinfeld funny. So
Well, I agree.
I have watched every episode of Seinfeld probably 25 times.
I am
like,
watching it for the first time.
That is, well, the thing is, like, I used to watch it with my mom when I was little, because that was like the brand new show, and she just thought Jerry Seinfeld was like the fucking funniest guy ever, and so
Yeah.
she would we'd sit there and watch it. So it's like it's nostalgic for me, and I think that's probably what Friends is for the people who like it. They watched it when they were a kid because their mom or whoever liked it, and so now it's like this thing that you watch because it just gives you the feels.
Yeah, like so Seinfeld is my MASH. So like remember when people say like when MASH came on they had to go to bed?
yeah,
Like that Seinfeld came on, like that music is like it makes me think like, ooh, I shouldn't be watching this. Like,
Yep.
and I think my mom was like, they talk about sex and my mom wasn't like, well, I was too young, she didn't want me hearing all that stuff. And so it was kind of a thing like that too. So now when I watch it and it's funnier and that's tame compared to what else is out there.
Oh,
now.
Dude,
I know.
I was like forbidden from watching Married with Children when I was a
Yeah.
kid. I was like never allowed to watch it. If I ever got caught watching it, I was insta grounded, like big deal, like that I would watch that show. So I just wouldn't watch it because I didn't want to get in trouble. So now watching it now, it's like every episode's fucking brand new.
Yeah, that's what Seinfeld is. Like I'm in season 3 or 4, 3 I think, and I've caught some episodes. I know enough like Soup Nazi and yada 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 that I've caught like in the past, adult life, but I've never.
Can't stand you.
Yeah, can't stand you. That one was pretty funny. It's just goofy,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I went back in life and watched because, like, as a kid, I didn't watch it, but there was a lot of shows as a kid that I had to kind of sneak around to watch. Like Simpsons, perfect example. Like when I was
Yes.
a real young kid, like I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons, which I always found kind of
Yes.
funny because my parents were like, "No, they're so disrespectful to their parents." I'm like, Dad, I just watched Total Recall where Arnold's like looking at a girl with 3 boobs. Like, there's something wrong with how
There
you're
we go.
raising me.
Yeah. 80s and 90s parents were super unreasonable, I think, at times. Like, yes, you could, what was it? Like, I could watch stuff.
Like I
with
just watched
violence.
Ed 20. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just watched Ed
Yeah.
209 blow a guy away in a conference room, but I can't watch
Yeah.
Bart Simpson call someone a butthead. Like I'm really
Yeah.
lost
Well,
here.
The thing about The Simpsons back in the day, like at least my generation, I'm getting a little older now. That was the show that everyone watched, and you would go to school the next day, and like whatever new episode was from last night, if you could say a line from it when the teacher asked a question, you were like the funniest kid in the class, right?
Yep, you
So,
were like a god. Yep.
yeah, it was like the water cooler fucking thing. Everyone's talking about it at lunch, that kind of stuff. And there was this kid, Scott Simpson, whose parents would not let him watch The Simpsons, and I think it like developmentally stunted him because he wasn't ever allowed to be the funny kid because he never knew the joke.
Yep.
But it was because his last name was Simpson, and they were like, "That's not our family."
Yep.
He like grew up with a drug habit, like homeless. Like he felt like abandoned and ostracized by everybody.
Yeah, I wonder what Scott Simpson's doing right now.
Yeah, serving 20 to life. Like
Yeah,
even,
I'm,
you know,
I'm reading through some of these chats here real quick.
that was
Glass-
fun. That was go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
That was a fun time. I missed that. Like, I mean, it happens at work. I guess was like Game of Thrones, but like Game of Thrones is like the thing that everybody kind of watches. But it's not like it was in high school where it was like everybody watched what it was. You know, because everybody it was before TiVo and recording TV, so it was like what was on, and everybody watched it.
Because there's limited numbers of things that you can watch. I mean, I think we had like 5 channels that I would actually watch, and there was probably like 10 more channels that I didn't care about.
And all your like history buff dudes, you'd be like, "Did you watch AMC last night?" Like, "Oh, Dirty Dozen was on." Like, hell yeah! Like everybody watched Dirty Dozen that night, so that was a cool like. The stuff like that was neat. I mean,
and you don't get that anymore because there's a billion options, and you're like, "Hey, did you see this thing?" And everyone looks at you like you're fucking weird.
And a lot of people.
Oh, that was the topic 8 hours ago. Like, okay, like
more and more people that I talk to legitimately just watch YouTube. Like they watch people stream and YouTube shows of like that's just how they don't even watch any like real TV. They're watching YouTube because that's a whole new kind of a.
Well, YouTube's like a new kind of media because there's interaction that you can have, and you can develop a personal relationship with the person who's doing the stream or whatever. You know, you can ask questions. They know who you are. They recognize your name. You know, like these days, it's like fucking, you know, a million billion different things that you can watch. And again, like the chances that you're gonna like walk into a place and yell unbreaded or something, and someone's gonna know what the fuck you're talking about is almost zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I admit, like, I watch a lot of YouTube. I was actually talking to one of my friends about this the other night because they're like, they had sent me a Snapchat and they're like, "It's 8 o'clock at night. You still have your headset on?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Are you working still?" I'm like, "No, not really. Like, kind of." And they're like, "Why do you have your headset on?" I was like, "Because I'm listening to YouTube stuff. Because I'll be sitting here on my computer doing whatever, whether I'm on the chats with you guys or if I'm, you know, doing some, you know, late night work, just like prepping myself for the next day type shit. And like I'll have YouTube stuff going in the background, whether it's I don't do a lot of podcasts and stuff. It's more like channels. Like I watch a lot of geek stuff on YouTube where they'll do breakdowns and stuff like that. And that's just what I listen to. And even going to bed at night, like I usually have my phone on, I'm listening to that stuff. So it's just there's just so much content. Ohio Patriot education. Most stuff out of Hollywood is trash anyways. It is. It's not like. It depends on what you're looking for.
There are a bunch of pedophiles who want to fucking like groom your children and, you know, all that stuff.
Bjorn says I still don't like MASH. It took me a long time to like MASH. Like I didn't appreciate MASH as much when I was younger because my dad was always watching it, and there's so much other stuff that I was consuming at the time. Like I just didn't care enough about MASH. But as I got older, it grew on me for me to realize like the true like masterpiece that it was.
Well, I've moved away from like there was a time where I was just total action. Like if it didn't have just a bunch of action, I wasn't interested.
Exactly.
And now I'm kind of the opposite, where I'm like, okay, the action's cool, but I want like the drama, the intrigue, like the Game of Thrones stuff. The best stuff to me is not the fighting; it's the setting
the story
up,
in between.
Political,
That's why I love Andor so much, is because it's not every episode's not just raging gunfights in space. It's like there's a lot of like build up and spy type shit in between, and there's building characters in between the action.
Yeah.
I hate all these action movies though when you're like trying to go to sleep, right? And so you're just like, "Oh, I'll just put on a movie." And so you turn it up loud enough so that you can hear the people when they're talking. And then the rocket comes in and it's like the kids wake up and the fucking walls are shaking. It's like, can you like kind of even out the audio a little bit for the home viewer? Because like I'm not trying to have a movie experience when I'm watching this in bed.
There's something wrong with some of the audio settings sometimes in some of the movies that you just watch, because I feel like that all the time. that I have to constantly shift the volume. Maybe it's because we're getting older. I don't know. Like it's too loud.
Well,
But
no, I mean, it's like you don't like the kids are sleeping in the next room.
yeah,
I'm watching it at an appropriate level when everyone's just talking, and then like the
Yeah.
fight scene happens, and I gotta like jump out of bed and turn the knob down, and then like the fight scene ends, and now I can't hear anybody, so I got to get out of bed if I want to hear them, turn it back up again, and nope, another fight scene. Like fuck me, dude. I'm watching something else.
yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. There's definitely no audio control. I guess it's because like it's supposed to be in the moment immersive, but yeah, when there's other people that you're trying to watch it around, it's tough.
And I prefer just headphones. Like sound systems could mean buck all to me when I just prefer to have headphones on.
In like my apartment and stuff like that, I don't have a use for something. Like if I had my own home with like an own like theater room or something,
Mhm.
then yeah, I'm gonna go, balls to the wall with a sound system. But like just my normal home, like I don't need a sound bar and all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
I
And
also
I got
don't
young
utilize
kids,
my
too.
team enough, like my TV enough. Like I turn on a handful of times a week, and
Yeah.
so there's
I've
just
got
really
some.
no point.
My neighbors next to me are this gay couple, and they get all mad at me when I'm listening to stuff too loud at night. They'll pound on the wall. One night they knocked on my front door. Like I fell asleep watching a movie, and it got to the loud part, and I didn't wake. I duked out, and like it didn't wake me up. And they knocked on my front door, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like grabbed a gun,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the gay couple next door. Sorry, dudes.
When this is years ago, this is back like 2014, I think it was. I used to have I still have the projector someplace, but I used to have a project, like my TV in my living room was a projector that I had my Xbox and my cable box hooked up to. And so it had a sound system, like it had a small speaker in it and stuff. You could just play the music through that. And I just projected, I had one big, huge blank wall in my living room that I just projected against. And I was sitting there one day and I was playing like one of the Battlefield games. I forget which. I'm doing a multiplayer game and I'm shooting stuff and running around and shooting stuff. And there's this huge explosion. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And the game blew up. I'm like, huh. I didn't know you could blow something up that loud in the game. And like I had the speaker pretty high up. And my parents were living on the other side of the half double. And my dad calls me. And I pick up, I pause the game, pick up. He's like, did you hear that explosion? I'm like, yeah, I'm playing Battlefield. Sorry, I'll turn it down or whatever. So I turn it down a little bit. I keep playing, and I hear police sirens and like fire sirens and stuff. I'm like, what the fuck? So I hear it right down the road. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, that's a lot of police presence and everything. And I look outside, and there's smoke. And I'm like, what in the shit? So I pause the game and everything, shut it down, go outside, walk the next block over, and some meth house is blown up.
Just
I
happened
straight
at
up
the same time or whatever.
just happened. Yeah, I just still happened to think it was part of the game. But what does he see? The old Hawaii 5.0. The old Hawaii 5.0 was good. I never got into the new one. I heard it was okay, but like I'm always so hesitant when they reboot those TV. Like they rebooted Chips for a little bit. I heard it was horrible. Like I know there was that period of time where they were redoing like Starsky and Hutch and Dukes of Hazzard and stuff, and those were not great at all. Like they weren't even good. They were at best.
Dude, the show that I used to watch when I was a kid, it was on Nick at Night, right? Like you remember, like Nick at Night, they'd have like some old show from the '60s on or whatever. Fucking Get Smart. I love Get Smart, and I never even would have heard of it if it wasn't for Nick at Night with the shoe phone and all that stuff. I had a shoe phone when I was a kid. I wish I still had that.
I loved and I say growing up. Like I was already a teenager when I discovered this show because my dad had the DVD box set for it. But Sledgehammer was fucking hilarious. Like I love that shit.
You're surrounded by danger all the time, and loving it.
There's just I wish that show had gone on longer because like that's definitely a show that could not be made today, by any means. We'll catch up on some of these chats here.
How many subs are you at?
think like right around 100. I think.
Oh, I thought you were right around 1,000. God damn it, never mind.
No, no. RGK 762. I like old TV MASH, Lone Ranger, Beverly Hillbillies, Rawhide, stuff like that. See, that's the stuff, like my dad used to watch TV Land stuff when I was growing up, and I just didn't appreciate. It took me years later until I started to appreciate that stuff. Because again, growing up, Hogan's Heroes I did really enjoy. I really enjoyed Hogan's Heroes. That is one of the few shows that I liked.
I see
just
that.
yeah, I see nothing. Just because, like, growing up again, to what Duke was saying, like I grew up on like the action, so I just want action 24/7, or I wanted like goofy cartoon stuff. Like it was one extreme or the other. So it took me a while to catch on those. Taxi was Dr. Brown in his prime. Yeah. I think there's a bunch of old TV shows that were pretty good. Trying to see what else is out there. It's pretty much caught up on that end. But
I just dropped a link to the chat in Matt's Discord and my Discord. So maybe some extra people will show up tonight.
Well,
I don't know why you don't do this. You need to promote your shit, bro.
Well, I do it in the Discord earlier to let people know that I meant to mention on Matt's chat last night, and I forgot about it, and then I duked out early. But yeah, that's all I had topic-wise was on the optics side. Was just be cognitive if you're doing your own chats and stuff. Obviously, we get heated, we say stuff, what have you. But like if you're gonna be doing your own chats and stuff, just think of the audience that you want to bring in and act accordingly. Like if you're truly trying to be an advocate and bring people from all different walks of life in, be smart about it. That's all. Because especially if you're going to be showing yourself around or something like that on a camera, like that stuff can get back to other groups that you're affiliated with.
But anyhow, sometimes I do this thing where you can go to YouTube and you can search whatever term you want, just search like a single word, and then like there's like search refinement, and you can search for live chats that have to do with that subject, and then you find weird random channels that are like that are live right now talking about the thing that you searched. And like I'll try to find people who have smaller streams or whatever who are talking about stuff and jump in the chat and try to promote my stuff or invite them on. And it rarely works, but on occasion you get some new people, and it's kind of cool. It's a good way to do it.
That's not a bad way. Maybe I'll start doing stuff like that, because it's all marketing. Really, at the end of the day, that side of YouTube, I guess StreamYard, YouTube, whatever, it's what it's designed to do is bring groups of people together, and the only way you're going to do that is by either have a chat that's so great that word of mouth spreads like crazy, or you got to go start finding people and building relationships. And that's how I found Matt back in the day. Was I found Matt's chat. Actually, I think I found Yankees chat first, and I found Matt on Yankees chat, and then Yankee was kind of, I don't want to say imposing, but he's Yankee, so he's very picky on the people he allows on, where Matt was much more open about letting people on. So I just started messaging Matt, and Matt's like, yeah, hop on. And that's how we all connected, and then connected through G-Webs back in the day when he had gun channels, connected with a bunch of people over there, and it was just broke off from that. So
Rolling Trip says that you blocked him and to unblock him because you did it by mistake a while back.
I don't know how to unblock him is the thing.
I can walk you through it real quick.
Yeah, how do you do that? Okay.
So you got to go to your studio, your YouTube studio.
Okay, hold up. Let me pull it up.
And then once you're there, you go to settings.
So I'm on my channel. Actually, I have 140 subscribers. Holy shit. Okay. How do I get to my studio here?
So it'd be in the top right.
Oh, YouTube studio. Yep. There it is.
And then settings is in the bottom left.
Okay. Settings.
And then you go to community under settings.
Okay.
And then scroll down to the not quite the bottom, and it has hidden users.
Hidden users.
There you go.
Okay. I apologize. You should be all good now. I just think you're unblocked.
There you go.
Let me know.
There you go.
Woohoo! Yay. Well, thank you. Yeah, because it happened a couple weeks ago. I went to go, there's somebody like spamming my chat, and we were blocking him, and all of a sudden his name came up as the finger was like, you know, when your hand's already in motion, you're just like, no. You're back, Rolling Trip. You're back. Welcome back. Sorry about that. Yeah, it blocked him, and I was just like, I don't know how to unblock you. No, you're all good, Tara. I figured you were on the road and stuff. I know you've been doing a lot of work lately. I know all the truckers are, and I feel it's just going to ramp up, so. I can see your comment, yes.
Everyone can see now.
We can all see.
Use it wisely.
But, yeah. So I don't know if you guys have any topics. I was going to, like, show off my new carry gun I picked up and everything, but with the camera being shitty,
What'd
can't
you get?
really do that. APX carry. It's a first gen. So they have the first gen and then they have the A1. The only difference between the two is that A1 has slightly different serrations on it. Still has front and rear serrations, but it's just like a different cut to them. And it has a takedown lever instead of like a like an actual like screw. It's not even a screw. It's like a screwdriver slot, but you can just use a bullet and turn it to take it down. So that's the only difference. But I picked it up this weekend because I was gonna go up to, there's a shop up north that was having a vendor day, and so my plans were to go up there because they're supposed to have like Canik and CZ and Ruger and all this Century and all these other companies up there, but it's like a 2-hour drive up north. And so I started heading up, got about 40 minutes up the road, and there was a sign on the turnpike that said turnpike closed for next 30 miles. And so to get off, you have to shoot like 15 minutes east, then 15 miles east, then like the 30 miles north, and then like 15 miles back west. And it's all like side country roads and like technically like highways, but they're like, it's like part of it's a highway and then it'll go into a town, so there's a million red lights. And this is an entire turnpike that's stuck getting in this. So I'm just like, fuck that. It's going to be 4 hours to go what would normally be an hour additionally. I'm like, I'm not doing this. So I got off and there was just a small little gun shop, and I was like, well, let me stop in here and like, you know, whatever. I'll check out the local gun shop here. It was only about an hour away from home by that point. And yeah, they had a couple guns in there. Like most of their newer stuff I felt was a little high priced, but their used stuff was not terrible. And this I picked up with 2 magazines in a carrying case for 300 bones. So,
Dude, I hate the fucking gun shops in Colorado and the pawn shops and stuff, because you're like, oh, cool, I'll go to a pawn shop and see if they have anything. Oh, there's a Glock 19. Maybe I'd want a Glock 19. How much for that? $700 used. Like, what the fuck?
So I think I was sharing it on last week's chat, but yeah, I did that. Does this mean I get a mulligan to cause chaos once? Sure. But yeah, not this past weekend, but the weekend before when I was up north, the 2 weekends ago when I was up north, I stopped at 2 gun shops up north that were like, both are pretty heavily mentioned on like the radio and stuff. And they had a great supply of shit, but it was so incredibly priced. Like I had picked up a Russian Mosin that was all mismatched. Like, I mean, it looked fine. Like it wasn't all cosmolined and like rusted or anything, but it was just mismatched parts. He went $500 for it. I'm like, nope. They had what was it? The Marlin 92, the 38 357 92. $780.
Yeah, I just don't know how they're moving guns though.
Well,
Because is it because are they betting on someone coming in and be like, I'll give you it's a $750 gun they got marked. Like, I'll give you $600 for it, and they like bicker back. Are they wanting that?
No,
Or-
it was it's the people I saw that were down there were the types of people, because there's there's two types of gun owners for the most part in that part of Pennsylvania. There's the hunters that like they just go in and they're like, whatever, I got my 270 bolt gun, like cool, I'll pay whatever, I don't care because it's my rifle. Or there's people that just they have no clue what they're doing. Like I've had friends
Right.
that have gone there that are like, oh yeah, this is a real great gun shop because they have a huge selection and they're promoted on the radio. And I'm like, I would never buy anything there. It's way too overpriced. And they're like, what do you mean? But it's because they don't know any difference. Like that's the gun shop they hear to go to. They go in there and they're like, oh, I guess a Glock 19 is supposed to cost $650 brand
Dude,
new.
I mean, that's how the Tulsa Gun Show was. And I was thinking, okay, so like I've been to gun shows in Colorado like 2 times, right? And I'll never go again because it's a waste of time and a waste of money and everything's way overpriced and it's just bullshit. And I was like, well, maybe the Tulsa Gun Show will be different because it's in Oklahoma and it's like the biggest gun show in the world. And like there's all like everyone's talking about how cheap you can get this and how cheap you can get that and how like there's all these good deals that can be had. And I'm like, oh sweet, like I'll bring some money and maybe I'll like find something cool. And it's just like the Denver Gun Show but bigger. It was such bullshit. I will never go back. I don't give a fuck. Not even because of other reasons, just because of that, right? Just because you're just like, hey, we're gonna fuck people over as hard as we can. You want an SKS? $1,100. Like what?
Yeah.
The only way
Yeah,
I'd go back is if I was a seller and I was taking a bunch of shit to sell.
That you might have a point there. Like if you like need some money and you have a bunch of guns and the Tulsa Gun Show's showing up, like yeah,
You can
make
move
it
it.
there and sell your shit because you'll make fucking top dollar.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just insane, like the prices, because that was the first shop I went to, and like I walked in, I'd never been there before. They opened up after, I'm sorry, well, they used to have a really small shop on the other side of the river that I had been to once, and when they were a small shop, like they had decent prices for the time, but that was over 5 years ago. It's before I moved to Arizona, so I moved back, and I'm like, oh, they got this huge new shop, like let me go check it out. And you walk in, there's just rows and rows of rifles and shotguns on the floor, and then there's stuff all over the walls. And
You want
all
me to
this
send
shit.
Simple Dan a link?
yeah, send them. I don't know if it's going to let them in because I only have the basic StreamYard. So
No, you can do up to 6 with the basic, I think.
okay, yeah, send them a link. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I thought you said 8, but I forget the time difference.
it's all good, dude. It's all good. Yeah, so they had a ton of shit, and I just was like, I was going through, and I was like, oh, this looks nice. I picked up. I'm like, not that nice. Like, holy shit. And then the second shop I went to is another shop that I had heard about before I moved to Arizona, but I just never got a chance to get to. And I walked in there, and they had, like, they weren't as bad. Like, they had a good selection. They had almost nothing used, though. Like, either shop really didn't have much in used. But that second shop, the only thing I saw that was even tempting to me was they had one of those, is it the Gerson, like the Beretta 92 clone
yeah,
thing?
the Gerson.
But they wanted like $350 for it, and I was just like, I don't know. I feel like it's not that much of a difference being used at $350. Like I think new they only go for like $4. So I'm like, I just didn't feel like the price was worth the squeeze on that. So I didn't bite on that end. But and I was just like, holy shit. Like I bought a box of ammo from the first place because their ammo was average price. Like it wasn't good, but it wasn't horrible. That was one of the few things that they had that wasn't garbage. So I bought a box of ammo, and then the second place I ended up buying a holster for my LCP. And I was like, whatever. Like here's another holster option for me. Like whatever. I'll support them a little bit, but I was just like, holy shit. Like people were in there, especially at that first shop. They're like, oh yeah, this is a great price for this gun. And I'm like, it's like $300 more than that gun should be. Like the fuck are you doing? But
Okay. People not knowing.
yeah, and that's just it. It's people not educated. So like my one friend, because she's been looking at getting a gun. She's like, oh yeah, I think we're gonna go down there. So I saw her later on that day. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't buy. Like it's a great place to go to get your hands on something because they have such a large selection. If you want to, feel something out and see if it's gonna fit your hand right and things like that. Make sure you're comfortable. Great. Don't buy it there. Like feel it out. Be like, this is what I want, and then go buy it someplace else.
Yep.
But Yeah. So, but this shop I found, I just happened to roll in there, and honestly, if I had more money, I would have bought more stuff because they had some cool of like the little Beretta Jetfires and stuff like that. Like they had a little 22 short one for like $250. They had a 25 ACP one for like 275. They had a Gen 4 Glock 22 for $300. If I was a 40 cal guy, I probably would have bought that, but I'm just like, I don't want another 40. Like, just not a 40 cal person, so I passed on that.
How do you spell platypus?
I do a Plattattapus is how I spell my channel.
Okay.
In my opinion, with the whole, local gun stores and stuff, they're eventually going to shoot themselves in the foot because people are going to start seeing all these prices locally being overpriced, and they're just going to go online, and that's going to cause them to go out of business.
Yeah, I think as like the older generation dies out, because again, like most of the guys I saw in there were the older like hunter generation because it's hunting season, so that's primarily what I saw. And like one guy was in there talking about selling stuff at the gun show and whatnot next to the beef jerky stand, and but I think as that generation kind of dies out, because a lot of those guys, they're not doing stuff online, they're just going to their local gun shop. But as that dies down, more and more kids or young adults, I should say, get into it. I think the online aspect's going to take it over, especially as they start to do their education on it.
Dude, I remember when we first moved to Colorado back in 1985 or 86, whatever that was, right? The town that we moved to was like 10,000 people. It was a 1-lane each way dirt road. There was a fucking gas station / hardware store / grocery store / gun shop, and it was basically like the main place where you go to buy stuff in town. Like if you wanted milk, you would go there. If you wanted gas, you'd go there. If you wanted toilet paper, you'd go there. If you wanted an SKS, you'd go there. And they had like those old barrels of SKSs for $75 a piece. And I begged my mom for one, and she told me no.
Yeah, we had when I lived in Oregon, because we lived in bumfuck Oregon, and our town, there was a small little, it was like a pharmacy / grocery store. And that's where you went to go get your groceries unless you wanted to drive like 30 minutes away to an actual like grocery store. Or you could go up north a little ways, about 25 minutes up north to the bottom of the mountain, because everyone would go up on the mountain, go hiking, fishing, all that stuff. At the bottom of the mountain was a little like general shop that my buddy's dad owned, and they were like off the boat from Vietnam, and it was, you walked in, you could get your bait there, you could buy shotgun shells and like guns and stuff, and then you could buy like snacks, and they had, it wasn't really a full-on grocery, but you could get like bread, milk, cheese, like your essential stuff, like some canned goods, like a lot of camping stuff. It was just a little bit of everything in there, and there's lots of times that my dad would decide that he wanted to go fish, and he's like, oh, you want to go up? And I'm like, I'd rather hang out here. He's like, all right. And me and my buddy, we'd go in the back, we'd play G.I. Joes or whatever, and Dad go up fishing, come home, and be like, all right, yeah, I got these fish, like, gonna cook them up on the grill. Yeah, I think a lot of the retailers are starting to take over, although, like, I look at back home, we have, it still might be up there, they had a Cabela's that it's hit or miss. Like some people go there, but there's enough gun shops around that it still gets more business, I think, than the Cabela's. But that's the place where the guy told me that there's no such thing as 9x18 Makarov.
Yeah.
That there was only 9x19 or that weird French one that's 9x21. And I'm like, no, there's 9x17. No, there's not. I'm like, it's 380, and there's 9x18. There's no such thing as 9x18. I'm like, that's what Makarov shoots. No, it doesn't. I'm like, okay, like I'm leaving.
Wow.
But yeah.
Where's he been?
Where's what?
I said, where's he been? Living under a rock?
literally, he was just like, he was one of those guys that's just like, oh, there's Glocks and 1911s, and like those are the only guns that are made. I'm like, no, it's fucking not. Okay,
Holy
whatever.
shit. Parker, okay, the town I grew up in 1990s. So this was 5 years after I lived there. After we moved there, had a population of 5,625 people. 2021, like last year, 60,313.
I believe it. I believe it.
Fucking
I wonder.
insane.
Yep.
I wonder what Cloverdale has. Now I gotta go look this up.
Because I remember it was one lane each way dirt road was Parker Road, was the main road. I remember when they paved it and it was one lane each way paved road. I remember when they built the Safeway in town, and that was a big deal because there was an actual grocery store and you didn't have to go to the bait shop or whatever to fucking buy your groceries. And like, yeah, now it's like a fucking 8-lane highway, each like 4 lanes each way. 60,313 people. So that's, 12 times growth. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, we have.
Colorado used to be a different thing, man. It really was.
I just looked up the town I used to live in, and which was Cloverdale, Oregon. I lived there for 6 years. Like, moved there when I was 3, moved out when I was 9. When we moved there, I think there was maybe 50 people in that town. Like, it was a small ass town. Now it's 242. Yeah, holy shit. Average medium income for a household was 50,000. I can guarantee that when we lived there, medium income was not even close to 50K.
Like when I first moved to Parker, there was no high school in Parker. You had to go to Douglas County High School, which was in Castle Rock, like the next town over, right? Now there are 4 high schools in Parker. It gets fucking insane, dude.
Damn. The town I grew up in is still the same.
It sucks. You better take off them headphones, boy.
Yeah, TC's talking about, yeah, your robot was crazy.
Yeah, robot and Robot and Dan.
Yeah, TC was talking about one of his local places, mom and pop shop, price gouges like crazy. We had a place like that back in Dixon City, which is just north of Scranton. It's the next like major town up that I went to a couple times, and like they would get really cool stuff in there, like really cool consignment stuff and old goofy ass weird guns. They just slap prices on it like crazy. Like I remember I'd gone in there, and this was back, I don't know, 2016 or something like that. And they had a Arasaka and 777, and the guy had done the stupid like camo spray paint job to it, like tiger striped it and stuff. Like, just why would you do that to a classic Arasaka? I don't know.
Who does that?
To a classic Arasaka, it actually offended me, but I was like, everything else was there on it. Granted, it had a ground mount, which 90% of them do. But I was like, oh, this is still cool. Like, it's an old cool. It had been just when I got my CNR license, so I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, I can do this on my CNR. Like, whatever. I can take the spray paint off of it. And they wanted like $600 for it, and I'm like, and this was back again, like 2016. I'm like, there's no. An Arasaka with like a mum on it's like $600, like in perfect condition. Like this thing's beat to shit. No way. And they just would price. I remember they had like high points for $250, $270, and I'm just like, no, not gonna happen. I was like, it was a cool place to go and look at cool stuff, but I just would never buy anything there.
You know those their Egyptian rifle, I don't remember the model number. Maybe where the top had like a sliding door where it would move. Yeah. My local gun store years ago, I would say probably around 2017 maybe 16, had one of those, and looking back I kind of wish I would have bought it because now they're, pretty expensive, and they only wanted like a couple $100 because they didn't even know what the fuck they had. And back then I wasn't really in these chats as often as I am now, and so I didn't really know what it was either, and I forgot about it until I saw one a couple years ago, and I'm like, fuck. They had already started going up by then.
Or like a Rashid. Oh, is
Yeah.
Duke already asleep?
Well, I think the Hakeem is the Egyptian one. I think the Rashid is the Finnish one. No, the Rashid's another Egyptian one. But the Hakeem has the sliding. Yep, he's like Duke.
Dookie baby.
Dookie.
Dookie. Duke.
Duke, we are your father.
Oh my lord.
We're
Hold
just
on,
gonna
I got
mute
this.
him.
I
till
got
he-
this. I got it. Hold on.
Okay.
Got the sound. Where's the sound? I thought I had it. I'm sorry. Hold on. Give me a sec.
Yeah, all good.
What's going on, Joey? I saw you, tagging us a while ago.
Dookie. Baby.
What's up?
Duke, wake up.
Wake up!
Dookie.
What's up?
Baby.
You were snoozing. You were getting your beauty rest.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow, man.
He admits it. He's had a long day. It's been a long day for
he's-
Duke.
He's had a hell of a day today. That's true.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I look back at if I had a time machine, there's a bunch of guns. Obviously, I would have bought back in the day and made a hell of a lot of. My problem is I have a hard time selling guns. But there's definitely stuff I would have bought back in the day and resold. I mean, I look at
Oh, fuck yeah.
when I first moved to Arizona, it was either like late 2017 when I moved to early 2018. My local gun shop that we used to go to all the time, they used to get a bunch of cool shit in. But they had a FAL that had the thumbhole stock on it, but it was easy enough to replace with modern furniture or more correct furniture. And they only wanted $500 for it. And at the time, I had $500, but I was also getting ready to go on vacation. So I was like, I'd rather save this money for vacation. And like, I kicked myself because I'm like, I could have bought that and sold it for 3 times what I paid for it.
I just wish I'd bought more any fucking Nagant revolvers. Because I'm like, these things are shit. $100, you get like a holster for it and all the accoutrements and all that stuff. Like those Nagant revolvers go for like $1,000 if you got all the shit for it now.
I don't have all this shit for mine, but like when I bought mine and I just happened to look, I don't know if my local gun shop didn't know what it was, or they're just like, it's a Nagant revolver. Like no one's really gonna buy this because everyone. It was right in 2020 or 2021 when everyone was. I think it was late 2020 when everyone was buying like, anything that was semi-auto. They would just spend insane amounts of money for, and I got mine for just less than $200, and I was like, hell yeah, I'll buy. I think I paid $180 for it.
Damn.
And I was like, fuck yeah, I'll buy this. And like, granted, it didn't come with a holster and like all that stuff. I didn't care. I was like, whatever. Like, because I couldn't even buy a plain old Nagant revolver for $300. And I mean, it shoots great. Like, obviously, it's a Nagant revolver, so they're not great guns to begin with. But it's cool nostalgia, and it goes with my Mosin. So.
Dude, you can't even find them for sale anymore. Like I just checked Gunbroker.
And nothing.
Literally nothing.
Yeah. I wish I had bought like crates of them back in the day. I mean, when I had my CNR, I wish I had bought, shit tons of Mosins. I wish I had bought, I remember when Matt and I snagged up those Spanish Mausers for, I think they were $200 a piece, like $199 or something like that from Classic. Wish I'd bought a ton of those back in the day and just sat on them, but is hindsight's 2020 again, whatever.
Oh yeah, even going further back, SKS is when they were real cheap. The fucking M1 carbines, the M1 Garands, all the fucking milsurps that no one really wanted because, they weren't like the cool new thing. They were, old war.
That's the thing. Like you go back to I remember going with my dad to gun shows in the 90s, like mid to late 90s, and everyone everywhere had milsurps out the wazoo, and literally like you would buy stuff and I remember the barrels of SKSs and they'd just be like, here, take one, like fucking get rid of it. Because they were plentiful and no one really wanted them. Like everyone wanted other stuff. And I remember my dad sitting there being like, this is a great deer. Like, this is a perfectly good deer rifle. Like, you can utilize this for deer or elk or whatever. So he would buy that shit like crazy and sell them to people, but they were dirt cheap. And
It helps
Yeah,
if
and
you spell Nagant correctly. Never mind, there's Nagant revolvers.
and then and then when everything happened, like the internet came around, and all of a sudden you had YouTube where people were doing videos on them, and then people were like, oh, I have this really cool gun. Like, it's not just grandpa's old rifle or something like that. Like, this is actually a cool like piece of history. Now it's worth more money because and prices just shot up, and now that's why I never renewed my CNR license when it expired, because I'm like, it's just not worth it. Like, there's no real good deals on CNR stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Poor Duke.
Man, that
Might as
boy
well just
can
meet
fall
him.
asleep. Yeah, I'm going to.
That's from being a Marine. Them fuckers could fall asleep anywhere. No time at all.
I just don't know how he can do it at his desk. I think I've only ever fallen asleep at my desk once. That was like years ago. Like, most of the times when I fall asleep, it's because I have my wireless headset and I'll go like lay on the couch for 5 minutes while you guys are ranting about something. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll join back in 5 minutes, and the next thing I know, I'm out.
Dude,
I
happened
did
to
that
me.
last
I was
night.
getting ready for work the other day, and I got all my work stuff. I put on my shoes. I was ready to go, and I'm like, oh, I've got like 30 minutes till I have to leave. I'll just lay down and watch this YouTube video. Oh my god.
Yep.
I was
Boom.
half an hour late. Like,
Yep.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I ended up laying down on the couch last night because everyone was talking, and next thing I know, I'm waking up and I'm the only one in the back room.
Yeah.
I like,
That
well,
was
shit,
me.
my bad.
I think that was me last Wednesday. Yeah, it was last Wednesday. You guys were chatting about something, and like next thing I knew, I was out cold, and I woke up, and I was the only one like in the back room, and I'm just like, oh, guess that happened. It's like 1:45 here. I was just like, oh shit, okay.
oh wow, did you know that they make a SKS cricket rifle?
I did not. So that is it. How does that? How? Because the cricket's a bolt action.
Yeah.
It just looks like it. I don't know.
Because I know like
Screen
they make the not the SKS. I know they make the
It's a Mosin.
Yeah, the baby Mosin.
yeah, the baby, which it's a really cool concept. I like it, but it's just for what they're worth. It's like what they're going for. I'm like, that's not, because I think they're still like a single shot Mosin or a single shot cricket rifle. It just looks like a Mosin. I'm like, it'd be cool if it had like a mini stripper clip and stuff. If I'm gonna spend $300 on it, I want like a mini stripper clip and like
Exactly. Yeah. More
5-round
realistic.
magazine, like a mini bayonet. Like, I want it to be cool. That's just me though.
No, I totally agree. It's way overpriced for what it is.
Yeah, which is a shame, because I think it, like, when I first saw it come out, I really liked the concept, because it was an actual like one-off mini Mosin made way back with the final Tsar Nicholas for his son. He had them make a Mosin that was, I forget what it was chambered in. It was a smaller, it might have been 22, but it was basically like a tiny Mosin, and they just did a one-off for him, and it was really cool. So when they came out with that, I was like, oh, that's badass. Like, they're bringing the mini Mosin out, and then it just, yeah, price points and all, I was just, nah. But let me see here. Duke is sleeping. I remember getting my Nagant for $200 and thinking I overspent. Yeah, when I found mine for just under, I was like, I wasn't even planning on buying anything that day, but I saw it. I was like, I can't pass up on that, because at the time I was like, if I wanted to, I could go make $100 right now. Wish I bought more of the IMI 5.56 62 grain that Brownells had for almost 1,400 rounds for $210. Yeah. COD and other war games did also feed the demand. Yeah, 100%, because those kids that were playing COD and stuff like that, they were growing up and realizing like, oh, I have money, I can go buy this really cool gun, and yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like if they made it with like a small little 22 long rifle, like stripper clip or something, like, because it's still a rimfire round, like that'd be badass. Make a Mosin like that. That's what I
Yeah,
want.
that's cool.
Because they're supposed to come out with a whole brand of like old Milsurp rifles that were made them look like it and stuff. And I think the Mosin's really like the only one that gets any popularity. But it'd be cool to have like a K98 and that, and like a Lee Enfield and like a Springfield. Like that'd be badass. But
Mhm.
whatever. It's kind of like the repo. Because I know they had like the 22. Who was it? GSG that did like the STG and the MP40, but those sucked. Like they didn't run well because it was 22, and I get that. But then they came out with the correct caliber versions, and like you can't find them anywhere because they didn't make enough of them. They're selling for such egregious prices that's just like holy shit. But
CDC committee is quietly meeting this week to add COVID-19 vaccine to the annual childhood immunization schedule and give Pfizer and Moderna permanent legal immunity from any injuries caused by their vaccine.
yeah,
Sorry, there's a lot of Pfizer and Moderna like news going on right now. Like, did you see the fucking person in, I think it was like a UK PM or whatever they call them, not prime minister, but what are the committee people? Whatever they're called, they're like senators.
Yeah, I could ask my sister, but it would take me actually having to message her.
They questioned. They had like a Pfizer fucking like higher up person, and they were asking him questions, and they asked the lady like, so when you guys released the vaccine, did you do any studies at all to see if it would stop transmission between people? And the lady like laughed, and she was like, of course we didn't. We didn't have time to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I was having this discussion with my aunt the other night, actually. Not that specific discussion, but just how, like, the it's a crazy place, but it's kind of, I hate to say again, going back to optics, but it's, like I talked with her about it because she's in her late 60s, I think, mid to late 60s. She's like, oh, I just get so nervous. And I'm like, Aunt Linda, I'm like, you can control what you can control. I was like, you can't control how other people around you act. I was like, you can't control how other people see stuff. You can only control what you can control. What does Simple Dan forever say? MP, member of parliament. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
I said PM. I was backwards.
PM, MP, parliament of member. I say shit like that all the time with my sister because my sister, she lives over there and she got married, I don't know, like 6-9 months ago or whatever, but they didn't have a ceremony because everything was still kind of locked down and goofy at the time and there's so many restrictions. So they just got married by what you would think as like a member of the court. But for them, it's like, I just say like person in a frilly wig because that's what they looked like.
Fucking wigs.
But, yeah.
So your sister's a fucking fog breather now, huh?
My sister's always kind of been that way, but she did her study abroad, or not study abroad. She did her master's over there, and then she met a guy who's from there, so they started dating, and now they're married. And so I'm actually, it's cool because he's actually, I've seen him like over like video chats and stuff. But she's coming over home for Christmas, and he's coming with her. And they're bringing my step-nephew, so, like, who's only 4 or 5. So, like, he just started getting into, like, Marvel stuff and everything like that. So, and I mean, I'm not a kid person, but I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I can talk superheroes with him and stuff. And
I feel like if you go overseas or if you're in a different country, like, you get to, like, marry up or, like, your sexual market value jumps up, like, 1 or 2 points because you're, like, somewhat exotic. You have the weird accent or whatever it is. You got this weird backstory where you're not from here, so you're different. Versus like, I don't know, like the average British guy in Britain is just like, oh, you know, I don't know, like versus you, like if you look exactly the same, but you're from America, you know, you got like a leg up.
I think it goes both ways. Yeah, because I think like when we go over there, we're seen as the exotic. I mean, that is if they like you enough and don't hate your guts. But like, yeah, we're seen as the exotic. But same concept. Like, you know, girls over here, they're at the bar or whatever, and they see a million American dudes, and they're just like, oh, whatever, it's another Chad. And then some guy comes over,
like an Australian accent, then it's like,
then,
ooh.
yeah, like some guy named Liam comes over. He's like, oh, top of the morning, dude. And he does like a jigging or something. They're like, oh my god, this is so unique and different. I'm just like, he's literally Riverdance, just different. Yeah.
Makes you want to go to like Taiwan or fucking, I don't know, somewhere. Japan. I'm gonna go to Japan.
And he's dropping cologne.
What are the hottest Asian chicks in your opinion?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. Like
you don't like any of you're a racist.
I know. But and people have told me the difference too. And I'm sure like if you were to stand like a Chinese girl next to like a Korean girl next to a Japanese girl, and we're like, this is Japanese, this is Korean, this is Chinese, I'd be like, okay, I can see that there's clearly a difference between everyone. But if you're just to show me one and say like, guess their ethnicity, I'd be like, the fuck do I know? Like,
yeah, there's definitely
funny stories.
Northern Irish accent's very sexy. You never know. If they're rebellious women, they might. See what I did there?
Like a hot chick with a Southern accent. There's something about it.
Yes, there is to a point. Like there's hot chicks with Southern accents, and then there's like hot chicks with Southern accents but still sound super dumb. And there's like a fine line.
Yeah, like if you're not a hot chick,
Southern accent, because there's many different, you know, quote unquote Southern accents.
I don't know, Southern, where they talk like they got a little twang to the way they talk.
Again, would not be able to tell the difference. Between like Alabama and Georgia and
because like Tennessee and like like North Carolina, South Carolina, they got the twang too, but it's a different twang than say us Texans have.
Yeah, I never thought a Texan accent was hot my entire life. Sorry. Although I have met plenty of Texan chicks that are like, oh my god. Who are you, sure. And how do I get inside of that?
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm sure there's enough of them that are. I'm sure there's enough out there that could sway your mindset, but yeah, I can't tell the difference. And again, like not being raised in that area, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But you could say the same about like New Englanders. Like there's a difference between different sections of New England, and I can pick it up because I spent so much time up there. But like I guarantee if Honda showed up, he couldn't tell the difference between Boston, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut. New York and Boston, there's clearly a difference. Most people can tell, but not everyone.
Well, I used to have a roommate from Philly, and he talked very funny, and we'd always make fun of him because he instead of saying like, hey, can you hit play on the DVD? He'd say like, hey, hit play on the DVD. Like fucking Pete.
God damn it, Pete. Yeah, there's just certain words that like you pick. Like I remember when I first moved out to Pennsylvania, I called the remote a clicker. And I'm like, oh yeah, just grab the clicker. And people are like, the what? I'm like, the clicker. They're like, what the fuck is a clicker? Like, are we counting something? I'm like, the thing for the TV, the clicker. And they're like, you mean the remote? And I'm like, yeah, whatever the fuck you call it. Like, there's just certain.
It's literally called a remote.
Well, that's like, I say Coke, and when I mean, to a lot of people, Coke encompasses all of them. If you want something specific, you have to say Dr. Pepper, Sprite, whatever.
Or you call that soda.
Whereas the Midwest people call it pop. Yeah.
I just call it Coke, all of it.
Yeah. Like I've never called
I like
it pop.
Y'all give me shit about Santrol.
Or soda pop. That's the one that always get like pick one. It's soda or it's pop. It's not soda pop. Fuck you.
Right.
I don't know who says soda pop, but I don't like it.
What was the thing that out here people were calling the vacuum the Swiffer. They're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, run the Swiffer through, and I'm like, you have carpets. Like, what the fuck good is that gonna be? Because I'm thinking like Swiffer sweeper, and they're like, no, the Swiffer, and they take out the vacuum. I'm like, you mean the vacuum? Like, the fuck?
The
It's
one
just
in
different.
Texas that gets me is everything's a fucking taco. No, it's a burrito. Fuck you. It's called a breakfast burrito here, not a breakfast taco. If you ask for a breakfast taco in Colorado, people might get angry.
No, I agree with you on that aspect. Is even in Arizona, like there was a difference between tacos and burritos. Like technically they're the same thing. They're just folded different.
Well, a burrito has a flour tortilla, whereas a taco generally has a corn tortilla, and it can be soft or hard. It can be a hard shell or soft shell. You can get a taco in a flour tortilla, but you have to specifically ask for that because usually it's going to come in a fucking corn tortilla. But yeah, and it's got a shape to it. It's smaller. It's not enclosed on both sides like a burrito.
Yep.
They're not the same thing. And I don't care what Matt says.
Yeah, no, I agree, but
They're all tacos.
Yeah, fuck you too.
yeah.
RGK 762. I agree with you, man.
What did he say? Corey Long, the PA in Colorado people somewhere sound the same. Yeah. I shouldn't say that they also, like, if you were to tell me, like, this person's from Texas, this person's from, I don't know, Louisiana, like, I could probably tell the difference, but if you were just fire off from, like, the hip, like, if I just picked up the phone and you were talking to me and were like, what southern state am I from? I'd be like, I'm just going to take a shot in the dark.
And here's the thing. In Colorado, we enunciate our words and we speak correctly. There is no accent whatsoever. And then other people are like, where are you from? You got a weird accent, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, I can't even understand you because you are not enunciating. Like, what the fuck kind of accent is that? Or like England?
I can tell
like,
a lot of the Southern accents apart.
What's that?
I was just saying I could tell a lot of the Southern accents apart, like, Tennessee. Now the Carolinas get a little different, but I could definitely.
Yeah, because I mean that's at the border. Like they're basically all one state. Just they got tired and decided to draw a line at one point.
Now Louisiana, there's a big difference from Louisiana. You go north of I-10, you can pretty much understand them for one, and two, you can tell that they're from Louisiana. But you go south of I-10, boy, you can't understand a fucking word they say. That Cajun accent is so thick.
Oh yeah, that's the difference, I should say. Like if you go like deep south Louisiana, that Cajun accent you would be able to tell. But Glass 3222 says not all PA people sound the same. Philly people sound different than Eames and Pittsburgh. That's true. Like across Pennsylvania, people change because Pittsburgh has more of that like Ohio, like Midwest kind of tang to their language. Philly has its own weird thing. Northeast PA, you get a lot of transplants from New York, so stuff gets in there. But then you also get the people that say like, "Oh, count to 1, 2, 3," like
I find the East Coast accent to be the most infuriating of them for whatever reason, and I can't explain why. There's no logical reason as to why, like, the New York accent makes me want to strangle a baby, but it does.
Well, the funny thing is you say all the time when what few times I have drank on chats, you're like, oh, your accent's coming out. You're stupid. You do like a New York accent. I'm like, that's nothing close to what I sound like. I have a
Close
Boston.
to fucking enough, bro. Close to fucking enough.
There's a big difference between a Boston accent and a New York accent.
That's Boston accent. I can't even. All I say is "a" at the end of everything. I can't even do it. I can't fucking do it.
You can't even do it right.
Hey,
Boston.
I was listening to one of my friends who's from New England the other day, and like she sent me a Snapchat, and she was drinking, so her accent also comes out. And she's like, "Is anyone else that has like a cat or a dog?" And I'm like, "Holy shit, you just hard accented that.
Yeah, it sounds like they got a speech impediment, like a child who should have gone to speech therapy class and their parents couldn't afford it, so they just like there was this kid named David Putnam who was like he had like 15 sisters and brothers, and all of their names started with D. It was like David and Dana and Diana, and like they were all like fucking weird religion. I don't know what it was, but they all had the same weird fucking accent because they just learned how to talk from each other, and everyone didn't like them, so that like they never had social interaction that wasn't from within the family, and I assume that they were inbred or something like that. That's what the fucking East Coast accent sounds like to me, like a bunch of fucking Putnams.
So it's funny. So when I first moved to Rhode Island from Oregon, like again, was 9 years old. 10th grade, I went to the 5th grade, or 10 years old, went into the 5th grade. And they wanted me to go to speech class because growing up, I always had a hard time, especially when I rush through sentences. Sometimes I had a hard time saying R's. And so they wanted me to.
Speech impediment. Yes.
Yes. Well, no. Here's where the funny thing gets. So they told my parents they wanted to put me in speech class. And my dad's like, well, yeah, he kind of has a hard time sometimes saying R's, but like, it's fine. And the lady's like, no, he has a hard time saying R's. Like, he has a hard time saying cat and yad. And my dad's like, saying what? And the lady repeated herself, and he's like, I think you need to go to speech class. And so like, it was just, but.
It's true, you do. All you East Coasters need to go to speech class.
Stuff on the board of Panda says Boston accent is pure death.
Yeah, Panda also said that take it from someone from Guadalajara, tacos are not burritos. I only say it just to fuck with Honda because I know it bothers him when Matt talks about it.
True oil.
True. Now I do
like
say
that. That's how I would say it. If you were like, here, read this, Honda, I would say true oil.
I think true oil. Yeah. Boston doesn't have an accent; it's just a whole town butchering the English language. Oh, Pepperidge Farm accent. Oh God.
Pepperidge Farm.
Pepperidge Farm remembers. Peter.
Joey, I don't mean no offense, but I have spent a lot of time down south of I-10. I spent a lot of time down in Houma, Louisiana, and I'm sorry, man, them fuckers are hard to understand down there.
See, I think that accent's kind of cool. Like they say weird words that I don't use, and like there's like it's just exotic and different, versus like Boston, it's like you're saying the word that I already know. You just say it like fucked up.
Wrong. Yeah, that's true. Like the Cajun accent is different because it's so unique and they use so many different terminologies that it's not stuff that you would normally use instead of just saying words in a different way.
Although the way that they say onion is annoying. Onion.
Onion. You cut the onion.
But I do tell you though, I spent like 3 months down there because I was in the oil field and I was doing a bunch of training on like O2S gas and different things from the well sites and everything, all the dangers. And by the time I came back, my coworkers were like, why the fuck are you talking like that? I'm like, what are you talking about? I sound normal to myself, but apparently I picked up the accent.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like if you spend enough time in a location, especially around people with that accent, like you just naturally will pick it up. Like when I moved to Rhode Island, I didn't have a New England accent at all. It just, after spending, 8 years there, I just acquired it. So, it happens. But,
Oh, I don't doubt it, Joey. I mean, I know I have family from Louisiana, and so I agree with you, but it definitely is hard to fucking understand. It takes a while to get used to.
You gotta get your onion.
all I can think of is, what was it, like Gator Hunters or Swamp People or whatever that show was?
Yeah,
Like, they had to put the subtitles on it because people are just like, what the fuck are they saying?
The funny thing is, when you piss them off real bad, you can't understand a word at all. They just start running everything together.
Have you ever seen that Scottish kid when they're like, how's the weather today? And like, oh my God, I got to find this clip. Hold on. Keep talking.
I know like so on my stepmother's side of the family, half of her family is Irish and like they live in Ireland, so they would come visit now and then, especially when we were younger, and sometimes they would talk, and it's just like you're looking at them like they got 15 heads because they'll mix like Gaelic Irish in with their English, and I'm just like, I
All right.
don't know what like that sentence was.
I found it. Share my screen.
Right.
Okay.
Even TC starting to give me shit about Central or oil field.
All right, try to understand what this kid says here.
It was a wintry walk to school in Park Village, but they're a hardy breed in these parts.
Not that part.
Well, the mother says we had to go anyway. We hadn't much a choice in the matter, but sure.
It's a cool journey to school this morning.
Oh, God, you wouldn't belong getting frostbite. It's nice to...
I heard cold journey this morning. And
Oh,
something
you
about-
wouldn't be long getting frostbite.
Yeah, something about frost.
Dang.
You want to hear it again?
Yeah, let's do it again.
But they're a hardy breed in these parts. Well, the mother says we had to go anyway. We hadn't much a choice in the matter, but sure.
It's a cool journey to school this morning.
Oh, God, you wouldn't belong getting frostbite. It's nice to look at.
Something about a choice in the matter is all I got.
Yeah. So Simple Dan forever says, Jesus, was that even English? Not if they still had a choice.
Yep. There you go.
It's yeah. I mean I do find accents like interesting. Like I love speaking to people that have an accent, whether it be here in the States or even someplace else, because I love trying to figure out what they're saying. I remember when I had a work event back in March, back in Scottsdale. We all flew out for it, and one of our colleagues, he was from South Carolina originally, and he's lived there pretty much his whole life. And he had just like a couple weeks before we all flew out for this big work event, had decided to move to Scottsdale because that's where our office is anyway. So he decided to move out there, and we go to the bar, and he goes up to order drinks, and he's just hardcore like, yeah, man, give me some. And the guy's just looking at him like he's got 15 heads and like, what'd you want? He's like, God damn it, I know you know what I ordered. He's just like, this guy has like a full-on mullet. Like, it's just he has such a thick Southern accent that the guy behind the bar is just like, I'm not used to hearing this at all, and I have no idea what you're asking
Dude,
for.
the worst part about that is like they'll get mad at you because you can't understand them. It's like, you just said fucking blue moon in the weirdest way that you could possibly say blue moon. I have no idea what the fuck, whatever it was that came out of. Like, I had a guy ask for salsa one time. Like, he wanted a side of salsa. And he said it in some weird way that it was like, what do I bring you? Like, and I had to ask him 5 times what the fuck he was saying, and he wouldn't say it any differently. And he like started getting mad at me because he wanted fucking salsa, but he couldn't fucking say salsa. Fuck you, dude. Learn English.
You know what it makes me think of that you should be played when everyone says something like that and you can't really understand at all? That that little movie clip or whatever it is talking about in all your rambling coherentness.
Nothing that you said made any like, may God have mercy on your soul or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
At
just
no
watched that.
point during your rambling, incoherent answer could anyone come anything close to what. Yeah, that part. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the whole.
Word.
I just watched that clip this morning too because someone posted on Instagram for something.
At no point. Hey,
That
Duke's awake
mumbling-
again.
Well, at least he's not snoring. That's
How was
all
your
we know.
power nap?
I unmuted him myself.
Oh,
Just
you
to see.
unmuted him. Okay,
Yeah,
I thought
he
he
must have.
unmuted himself. Never mind.
I had a Simple Dan says I had a drinking buddy we called Boomhauer because he sounded like Boomhauer. And then Bjorn says, I know English, Icelandic, some Swedish, and a little Japanese. See, the Japanese is throwing me off. Like the Icelandic, the Swedish, the English, that all kind of makes sense. Like all that. And then it's just like, Oh, let me throw a dart at the map and pick a language.
Well, his girlfriend's Japanese is why.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then. Okay.
I know
Uh,
English and Mexican.
I know obviously English. I know a little bit of Spanish, a little Portuguese.
You mean Mexican?
No, Spanish and Portuguese.
I know,
A little
obviously-
Italian, but that's because they all kind of like Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, like a lot of the stuff kind of translates over, and then like a smidgen of German.
I know obviously English, and I used to know more Spanish than I do now, but I still can make my way through a conversation somewhat. And I can also speak some, or used to. I haven't studied in a while, but Gaelic, Irish. Gaelic.
Okay, yeah, yep.
I know some Hebrew, which is fun.
My wife can actually speak Portuguese, and she's been learning Romanian.
Interesting. Romanian's one out there that you don't think of a lot of times.
I know a little Chinese. I don't speak it though.
You just understand it, yeah.
No, there's just like a couple of phrases that I've learned, like "Ni
Yeah.
Shao Shin Ma Minza" means "What is your name?" Or you say "Ni Hao Ma," how are you? You can say, to answer that, you say "Hung Hao" or "Bu Hao." Hung Hao is good, Bu Hao is bad. Mogwai is a monster, not the fucking thing from Gremlin.
I mean, it is also the thing from Gremlins, so.
I used to, like, my dad had a fucking Taiwanese business partner, and his family lived with us for like 6 months when I was like 14, 13. And they had a little girl who only lit like they had like 3 kids, right? Like the 2 older ones spoke English and Chinese, but the youngest one only spoke Chinese because they lived in Taiwan for like, a couple of years, and then they moved back to America. And I used to chase her around the house, like saying, Mogwai, Mogwai.
It doesn't surprise me for some reason. I used to know a little Vietnamese just because, again, like growing up, my one friend when I lived in Oregon, and then when I lived in Rhode Island, my boss, he served during Vietnam. He served over here, but his job was training the South Vietnamese on like our tanks and stuff like that. So he would yell like Vietnamese stuff sometimes in the shop, and we'd be like, "What the fuck is he saying?" He'd just yell at us. He's like, "That means hurry up," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like I don't know why you thought I would understand that, but all right.
Diddy Mao. Diddy Mao.
That's exactly it. He'd yell Diddy Mao at us. I'm just like, what? Like I remember the first time he's like, just comes around the corner. He's like, Diddy Mao, and I'm like, a what? A mouse?
It almost like sounds like you're saying, "Get him out." Get him out of what?
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? He's like, means hurry up. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know why you would think I would understand that. Like, I'm taking Spanish in school. Like, but I think we're gonna probably call it because I know Matt's firing up his chat here in about 28 minutes. So I want to give people a chance to, take a leak or whatever, grab some water before his chat. But I know we've run about an hour and a half now, and I really want to thank everyone that showed up. I appreciate it, and thank you for all the likes. Thank you for the subscriptions. I really do truly appreciate it. Thank you everyone that joined here. Always happy to have you guys here, and there is other topics that you want for future chats or something, fire them down below, and I will bring them to next week's chat.
Yeah,
But,
thanks for the invite, brother.
Did you get any extra views from posts and stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I think we were up to 13 or 14 at one point. So.
Oh wow! All right.
Yeah. So hell yeah. So thank you all. And I will see you next week.
We'll see you in 28 minutes.
Yeah, 20. That's true. 28 minutes. I gotta go take the dog out because she's pacing. So, yay.